Hey, what's going on, y'all? We back. I'm back. And I got another video for y'all. And in this video right here, I want to focus on May. We're going to walk through May. Okay? Because there's just based off the comments, based off of some of the emails that I get, sometimes I feel like people are not looking at the timing of the information. Not just the information itself, but the timing of it. And shit, y'all know how we do over here. We watch shit move. Okay? So I think it's only right that we walk through May. And y'all know we gonna get into some shit. Cause I got something to show y'all. I got something to show y'all. So I told y'all in that last video, the question in my mind was, who moved her? Because I now believe that. I really do. And it was people from the beginning that was saying, oh, she was moved. I didn't entertain that, but I do now. And I want to know who did it. Because there will, in my opinion, there will be more charges. Okay? So, yeah. Come on, man. Ride with me. Y'all know how we do. Let's go. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this calendar. Okay? This is May 2019. Pay attention to the calendar. Because we about to walk through this shit. I don't know how long this video going to be. It is what it is. Y'all going to have to ride with me. Okay? Because we going to get to May 31st. Okay? Now, even though we walking through May, it wouldn't be right if we did not start with April the 30th. Because this was the last time that Maleah is seen on video alive. Okay? So that was April the 30th. And then this is also the same day that Brittany supposedly left, going to the airport, and it's still a discrepancy with the time as to when she left, when, it's still a discrepancy. Okay? So all of that happened on April the 30th. Okay? Now, on May 2nd, remember, this video footage right here was leaked. Y'all remember this? We couldn't figure out, was this nigga on the phone? We know he was smoking, but he looked like he on his phone. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see this nigga come out. Right here. He only got 2 kids with him. And that was May 2nd. Okay? And it was like, okay, well, where was Maleah? We never seen her again. We never seen her again, and we ain't seen shit with Brittany in it. Nothing. Okay? So, yeah. Now, on May 3rd, remember, at 1:40, we got him coming out with the laundry basket with the black trash bag inside of it. Okay? And we all speculated that this was Maleah. You can't tell me nothing different. So, this is at 1:40. He puts her in the trunk of the car and he returns, excuse me, he returns to the apartment. Okay? It said that in the police report. And this is going on May 3rd. And then at 6:40 that evening, we see him leaving with just his son. Okay? And that was about 6:40. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. This is when I feel like he left going to Arkansas. But here's the thing. I don't think he rolled with that little boy. I think somebody was watching him while he took that trip. I just couldn't see taking that long distance of a ride with this small child. I mean, shit, he went as far as getting a gas can, so the nigga wasn't trying to stop nowhere. And I mean, damn, who would with a dead body in the trunk? You understand what I mean? But I think that this little boy did not ride with him. So then it was like, okay, where you take him? Trust and believe. One too many stops made. Know that. You don't make no whole bunch of stops with a dead body in the trunk. So it was like, okay, well, where did he take the little boy? And then not only that, did he take that trip by himself? Because I don't think he did. I really don't. I mean, from where they were in Houston to Arkansas, it was roughly about 5 hours. Okay, we see him leaving out at 6:47, and let's say he had to drop the baby off, whatever. Let's say he hit the road about 8, and I got a feeling it was about 9 because that was the time he referenced to the police as to when he was kidnapped. But let's say about 8, 9 o'clock, he's headed to Arkansas. So 5 hours, you'll be looking at what? 1, 2 in the morning. By the time he reached Arkansas to take her body up there. Okay? Yeah, just something to think about. Now, not only on May the 3rd did we have him taking the body out and then, in my mind, heading to Arkansas with her. Don't forget about Brittany, because this day she's on her way back. She done told her mama her flight was delayed. Nobody knows what time the fuck she got back. Nobody knows. I mean, we still arguing about that shit to this day. Okay? But when Miss Brenda gave this interview, she said a couple things regarding May the 3rd that y'all need to hear.
And then, so anyhow, I texted her just to see how things were going. Hey, how's it going? Or whatever. And she said, my flight's going to be delayed, because I spoke with her when she was in Charlotte. And she said, it's going to be delayed, but we didn't know exactly what time she was going to arrive. So I thought I'd text her back again. And then I asked her, I said, are you almost home? And she said, no, I'm still at the airport. I said, what? She said, I'm still waiting on Darion to pick me up. I said, okay. Oh, yes. It was like midnight. And so anyhow, she said, I'm just going to wait a little while longer. So I said, okay. So I didn't fall back to sleep. I was kind of waiting. And then at 12:50, she texted me and said, hey, can you come pick me up? So keep in mind, it was Friday night. It was raining. It was awful.
So Miss Brenda told us that Brittany waited around for Darion to come get her. Okay? And we still don't know what time she got back. So we don't know how long she had been sitting at that airport. But what we do know is that at about 12:50, she called her mama and said, come and get me. Okay? So considering the fact that I believe Darion went to Arkansas on Friday, the 3rd, and considering the fact that I believe Brittany knew what the plan was, in my opinion, Brittany sat her ass at that airport until everything was everything. Probably got a call back from Darion talking about, yeah, the deed is done. It's a done deal. I'm headed back. Then she calls her mama, because he would have got up there to Arkansas around that time. Now all of a sudden, Brittany saying, come get me. And then not only that, she then took her mama back to the apartment. Remember? Now we into the early mornings of the 4th, May 4th. She then took her mama back to the apartments and then ain't got no keys to get in that motherfucker. Like, well, why did y'all even go back there? Okay? So she ended up having to stay with her mother. So, I mean, she didn't have a car. So she then went back with her mama. Okay? Now, here's the thing. The early morning of May 4th, Saturday, Brittany left from her mother's, and she was supposed to have been going to fill out a missing person report. And I'm going to show y'all why I think that. But she was supposed to have been going to fill out a missing person report. But don't forget, she ended up down Joe's house at 8 in the morning. So while her mama thought she was filling out a police report, Brittany went to Joe's house. Y'all remember this?
And anyhow, it's a long story, but I really want to make it short. I'm going to skip that part and just go to Derry Ashford Police. She filled out the 3 forms on Maleah, Darion, and Cortland, and that was Saturday. And she went there once before that, earlier that morning, and she filled out, I think, 1 paper. I wasn't with her. And they didn't ask her to fill out any additional information. And what got me was, I decided, something's not right here. Nobody's contacting us. Nothing's moving. So I went back up there and I wanted to know why. And then they realized, oh, you need to fill out these other 3 forms. So we did that. And then once they had given that to us and put it in the system, they asked us to call missing persons.
So Miss Brenda just told us that Saturday morning, Brittany supposedly went to fill out this report and she was not with her. Okay? And by the time, because again, we know that Brittany took her ass down to Joe's house at 8 in the morning. Okay? And when Brittany went back to her mother's house, she didn't sat around with her mama. Her mama waiting on people to call them. Okay? So what that told me was Brittany then went back like she actually filled out a fucking missing person report. Got her mama waiting around, waiting on people to call. When really she ain't filled out shit. She down Joe's house. Okay? And don't forget, Joe Sr. told us that, and I think this is one of the things that we kind of overlooked in that whole interview with Joe. But listen to what he said about Joe Jr.
When she came to the house and said that Darian was missing, of course Joe was worried and he called the police. You know, she didn't call the police. He called the police.
And I was like, huh? So Joe Jr. called the police to fill out a missing person report? Okay, so the police should have recorded that if he did. Or did he lie to his daddy and made his daddy think that he filled out or he called the police for Darian and the kids? None of that shit sounded right to me. And then as a mother, even if Brittany went down there, why would you allow somebody else to fill out a missing person report on your kids? None of that shit sounded right to me. But at the end of the day, she knew to take her ass straight to Joe's house at 8 o'clock. And let me just throw this out there, considering the fact that I believe he went to Arkansas um, the night of May the 3rd, going into May the 4th. Now, if we look at time, he would have got to Arkansas about 1, 2 o'clock, dropped the body off, headed back. Now, that means he would have got back that morning at about what? 6, 7 in the morning? Because don't forget, it's roughly a 5-hour trip. Brittany knew to take her ass straight to Joe's house Saturday morning, May 4th. Now, if you've been keeping up with my videos, we all know what happened on Saturday the 4th. We had the car show up in Sugarland at about 2:54. We had the neighbor telling us that they saw Darian ass on the patio smoking sometime that afternoon on Saturday. And they told us that when they saw him, he didn't have that bruise on his head. And so I'm like, okay, so where the hell did that bruise come from? Okay? But not only that, he told us he supposedly woke up at 6 o'clock. We all know, we all call bullshit. But then he ends up at the hospital later on Saturday night. And he got dropped off. Okay? And it wasn't until then that he reported Maleah missing, and then they issued an Amber Alert for her going into Sunday, May 5th. Now, I know this was a very eventful week, okay? But let's see what happened going into the second week. On May 6th, Brittany did her first TV interview, you know, the one with her mama, on May 6th, pleading for Maleah. And then on May 9th, The car was found. And remember, the cadaver dogs hit on the trunk. And then on May 10th, Brittany did her first interview with Quanell. Yeah, y'all remember when he wouldn't let her say shit? Yeah, that one. And then on May the 11th, they found Darion and arrested his ass on the 11th. Okay? So, yeah, let's pause for a minute. So, somewhere between May 4th and May the 11th, when Darion got arrested, Brittany was able to take these pictures right here. Okay? She took these pictures. And it had to be between the 4th and the 11th, because when Darion got arrested on the 11th, that nigga been locked up ever since. Okay? So, I mean, it only makes sense. Between the 4th and the 11th, Brittany caught up with this motherfucker and took pictures of his injuries. And I was thinking like, okay, well, why would she do that? And then not only that, this whole week, I don't know if y'all remember those text messages between her and her sister. She got her sister Natasha thinking she ain't seen Darion, that she can't find him. But she did. She did find him because she was able to take those pictures. Now, May 13th was Darion's first scheduled court appearance. Okay? Brittany was there. And that was May 13th. And then on May 14th, news crews caught Joe Jr. leaving the jail, visiting Darion.
We talked to his brother Joe right after he had talked to his brother Darion in jail, and he said that they did not talk about specifics about the case, knowing that people have access to their conversations. As you may know, inside the jail, you're allowed to talk to somebody if they agree to meet with you behind a two-way mirror there, and you're allowed to talk with them by phone for about 20 minutes. So he said they talked about family. He said they didn't talk much about the case, but said he wanted the world to know, Darion that is, that he was innocent and that the truth will eventually come out. Here's more of what he said. He wants the world to know that he's innocent.
Yes.
Did he say anything else?
He's doing well. He's very strong. He's a good man. So once God is with you, the whole world, the whole city, everybody can be against you. So we're a strong friend family. God is on our side. God is with my brother. So I have no worries.
And keep in mind, that was May 14th. Okay? So May 14th, his brother then went to visit him. All right? And then on May 16th, Brittany did her first TV interview, with a actual news station, like a sit-down interview. And from this point forward, she's with Quanell. So May 16th was her first TV interview with Quanell. So we ended this week on Saturday, May the 18th, with an interview that was conducted by Icket Mill with Joe Sr., Darion's and Joe's father. Okay? And, we broke down that interview, but it was a couple things that he said that I wanted to highlight in this video right here. So listen to a couple things Joe had to tell us on Saturday, May 18th.
He was at his brother's house. They knew where Darion was at the whole time.
Okay.
The cops knew where he was at. Like I said, when Joe left to take his kids out of town and his wife because he feared for their safety, the cops thought Darion was trying to leave town. So they went right over to where he was at and locked him up. So he never was on no run. He never was missing.
Okay, so couple things. Okay. He just told us that Darion was never on the run. That he been at Joe's house all this fucking time. So, okay. So we know Darion got arrested on the 11th of May. So I'm thinking now, from around May 4th through May 11th, Darion was at Joe's house. He was at Joe's house. And then don't forget, on May 4th that night, somebody dropped him off at the hospital in the Nissan. So that whole week he at Joe's house. And then he told us the police knew that. So here's my thing with this. If the police knew that that's where that nigga was, Brittany ass knew too. She knew too. And I told y'all, we just covered that. At some point, she was able to take these fucking pictures. She knew where this nigga was. Okay? And then, not only that, I'm like, okay, if he been at Joe's house all this time, like, of course there was a reason why he didn't want to go back to the apartment. And we all know what that was. They found blood evidence in there and everything. But I remember a report came out and it was saying that Brittany spent one night in that apartment. And for whatever reason, she couldn't stay there neither. Now, I know there could be several reasons why she didn't want to stay. But considering the fact that I think Brittany knew all along what was going on with this shit, she didn't want to stay because even she knew what happened there. That's just what I believe, okay? And then, here's another thing that kind of stood out to me. Because according to Joe Sr., the police pulled Joe Jr. over, okay? And they pulled him over because they thought, that they was trying to skip town, or that Darion was trying to skip town. And they realized that Darion wasn't with Joe. So they went and arrested Darion at Joe's house. So all of this took place on May the 11th because that was the day he was arrested. So was Joe trying to leave town then? Because that's another thing. That nigga uprooted his whole fucking family and got up out of there. So was he trying to leave on May the 11th? I mean, because it seems like if that's the case, then Joe was planning his exit the week of the 6th. He was planning his exit. And it was like, well, damn, nigga, what you running for? You know? It just, it don't make sense. To me, anyway, it don't make sense. But don't forget, Joe was at the jail on the 14th. So did he stay long enough to visit his brother on the 14th? Or did he leave and come the fuck back to go see his brother on the 14th? But according to Joe, what it sounded like to me is by the time we got that interview from Joe Sr. on the 18th, Joe Jr. was already back in St. Louis, settled, everything. So he left. And it was a suspect ass move to me. Now let's move on, because we're going to touch on that shit again here in a little bit. But on Friday, May 24th, the police came out and told us that now at this point, they looking for a deceased child. So at this point, they looking for a dead baby. They no longer believe that Maleah is alive. And this is important to me because up until this point, they had hope. Motherfuckers was holding out on hope, that she was still alive and that she would be found alive. But again, May 24th, they came out and said, we no longer believe that. Because don't forget, they had got the blood evidence out the house. They behind the scenes working. But what bothers me about this is that up until this point, we got motherfuckers moving as if they already knew she was dead. That's the problem. I mean, shit. Darion got arrested on the 11th. Before the 18th, Joe Jr. uprooted his whole fucking family. That nigga running, okay? And then we got Brittany, who's buying time. Because I think all the situations she was in, that's all she was doing, buying time. And she's lying. That's a problem, okay? That's a problem. But up until this point, people are moving as if they already knew Maleah was dead. Now, let's get into the last week of May. Because y'all know this was a very, very eventful week. So let's start with May 26th. Now, it was reported that that inmate, David, met with investigators to tell them what Darian told him. That was on Sunday, May 26th. Okay? And then sometime earlier this week, between the 27th and the 29th, couple things. Cornell X told us that he received a phone call from one of his little jailhouse friends around this time. And whoever this guy is was telling Cornell, like, look, like I got somebody that's got information about the case. He want to talk to you. You know what I mean? And that made sense to me. I mean, shit, knowing now that David went to the investigators the day before with what he knew. So y'all don't think when Cornell got that phone call, he didn't get the same information? Somewhere around this time, Cornell received the same information. I truly believe that, okay? And then, not only that, the lady with the cadaver dogs was reportedly in this area. And that was odd to us. We like, what? And we've yet to hear from her. Don't even know who the fuck she is. But that's what they told us. And that was within these 3 days, the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th. Okay? And, you know, then that raised a lot of questions for me because I'm like, well, did she find the body? Did she find Maleah? Because if she went off of information that the investigators had and information that even Cornell had, she was in the wrong spot. Because remember, Maleah wasn't found there. But that was the information that was given to investigators and to Cornell. Okay? Like, so did she find the body? Did she move the body? Because at this point, everybody's suspect. Did she move the body? Or does this mean that by the time she got there, between the 27th and the 29th, by the time she got there, the body had already been moved? I mean, something to think about. And then also within these 3 days, the city workers, they found the bag. They found Maleah. Remember? They called their damn supervisor. And the supervisor told them, leave the bag there. And I'm like, remember, we couldn't understand that part. Why leave the bag? If that bag was suspect enough for you motherfuckers to call y'all supervisor, why did y'all leave it there? That part made no sense to me. And it still doesn't. Now, also, during this time, y'all remember what came out? This shit right here. Cornell didn't want to fuck with Brittany no more. He cut ties with her. And we were like, what happened? All this shit seemed tied together to me. Okay? And then on May 31st, Cornell took his ass to the jail, supposedly to talk to Darian. And then all of a sudden he got this confession. Motherfuckers is on the move now, trying to find Maleah. And the spot where Cornell took them or had them go to was the wrong spot. It was. But listen to what Cornell told us.
Because he seemed specifically very precise where it was and what he did.
When you say precise, you say Hope, Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean,
it was this wooded area.
Clear. It was clear. He was detailed about when he took the exit, when he stopped the vehicle, where he stopped the vehicle and what he did, he was clear. And I was like, are you sure it wasn't further down this way? Are you sure that you're not getting your markers mixed? He said, no, I'm sure that's what. In fact, he said to me, no, this is what I did, this is where it was.
So he was just too precise for this not to be true.
It was to the point. It wasn't like he was guessing.
So Cornell told us that Darion was precise, that the information was precise. And I don't believe that he got it from Darion, but that's just me. But the information was precise. And Darion went as far as drawing the inmate a fucking picture of exactly where he left Maleah. And guess what? I believe that. I believe that he gave them an exact location of where he left her. I think he was truthful with that, because I told y'all in some of the earlier videos, I told y'all, based off of what I found out about Darion wasn't that guy. I'm like, let him sit in jail for a minute and watch this nigga start talking. And that's exactly what he did. So I think he wanted this shit to be over. I think he did send them to the exact location. But when they got there, Maleah wasn't there. She wasn't. She was found 12 miles away from there. So then the question becomes, and the reason why we all here, is who moved her? Who moved her? Let's look at our choices. We got Darion, because he was out from the 4th to the 11th. We got Brittany. Brittany on the move come Saturday. So, I mean, and she's yet to be locked up. So she's still on the move. Okay? We got Joe Jr. This nigga uprooted his whole damn family from down there. I mean, shit. It felt like he was running. Okay? Then you have the lady with the cadaver dog. She's there between the 27th and the 29th. Okay? Then we have the city workers. And they was instructed to leave the bag out there. To leave Maleah out there. Okay? So, yeah. Y'all let me know in the comments, who do y'all think would have moved the body? And tell me why. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to tell y'all who I think moved the body. Him. Now, let's be clear. This is just my opinion. I probably should have put up a disclaimer in this motherfucker, but this is just my opinion. Okay? It is what it is. Y'all know how we do over here. We're going to call this shit as we see it. And I believe Joe Jr. is the one who helped him move, or helped him transport and then move the body. So first, let's start with what Joe Sr. said about these brothers.
I mean, Joe's involved with his brother every day.
So in my mind, we talking about two brothers who they together every day. They got that kind of brother bond. You understand what I'm saying? That brotherly bond. And that's why I think it all went down this way. Let me just explain something to y'all. I think that when all this shit popped off, Darion, he did panic. He panicked like anybody would. He panicked. But I think that he called on his brother. I really do. And when we saw him leave out with the little boy at 6:40 on May the 3rd, remember, I was like, I don't think he rode with the little boy. And again, this is my opinion. I think Darion took the little boy to Joe's house. Because don't forget, Joe got a whole wife, kids, everything down that motherfucker. I think the baby was dropped off there. And then him and Joe rode to Arkansas. And I believe that they rode to Arkansas in the Nissan. I don't think Maleah ever left the trunk of that Nissan until they reached Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe, though, that it was either Joe or Brittany who dropped him off at the hospital later Saturday night. But don't forget that they saw the Nissan moving around Saturday afternoon in Sugarland by where Joe lived. So motherfuckers still driving the Nissan. But at this point, I think when that car was spotted at the intersection, at this point, I don't think there's a body in the trunk. Maleah's long gone. She's long gone. I don't think it was until after Joe met with Darian that Maleah's body was moved. Because guess what? Whoever moved the body had to know where she was in the first damn place. You understand what I'm saying? I would love to know if Joe had any of them fence injuries like Darian, because whoever moved it had to get past the barbed wire fence. They should have been taking pictures of that nigga. Okay? They should have. Because if Joe was along for the ride, and this is just my assumption, if Joe was along for the ride, he knew exactly where she was and where Darian put her. And from Houston, from Houston, you would have to go through Arkansas to get to St. Louis. That's where Joe ran to. He ran to St. Louis with his whole damn family. I ain't gonna keep saying that. In my opinion, Darian was to be made to look like a liar. Like he done sent them on this bogus mission to the wrong location. She ain't there. You a liar. But I don't think that was the case. I think he sent them to where he put her, and whoever else knew exactly where she was when it moved her. You know? And then it was like, why would he do that? To keep from being implicated in this crime. But I think that when Joe went and saw Darian on the 14th at that jail, I mean, come on, man. You know your brother. He probably know my brother's soft as hell. Like, they gonna get to my brother. Like, this nigga gonna tell it. Like, shit, nigga, you about to fuck up all of us. He knew how soft he was. And I think when he left that jail on the 14th, he knew exactly what he needed to do. And that was move the body. Move the body. Because she wasn't supposed to be found. But by the grace of God, she was. So I'm like, okay. So if you look at all of what we just covered, I don't think Darian would tell on his brother. I really don't. I think they had this bond, this like brotherly bond that would not allow Darian to tell on his brother. You know, he probably didn't want to see his brother fucked up, knowing that he had a wife, kids. You understand what I'm saying? But I also believe that Darian wouldn't tell on Brittany. And here's why. He can't tell on Brittany because if he's probably afraid that if he tells on Brittany, Brittany gonna tell on his brother. Because I feel like she know the story. She know the whole story, the true story. So shit, he ain't implicating neither one of them. But I think that this may not be a situation where he's trying to protect Brittany. He's trying to protect Joe Jr. And in doing so, he can't say shit about Brittany. Because don't Brittany seem like the type of bitch to y'all that'll be like, oh shit, nigga, if I go, all y'all going down. And that would implicate his brother still. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with this shit right now. And I just wanted to walk y'all through this before we carry on. But y'all needed to see this and see the order in which all this shit came about. So, yeah, y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think, man. I'm going to meet y'all down there. You know, let's talk about this. So, yeah, ride with me, man. I'll be back.